honestly, we're all public speakers all the time. If you're
Right.
speaking and there's someone else in the room, you're speaking, and I think with the voice work from the acting uh, training that I've done, I find that there's a lot of personal development in there. And I've worked with people who
Mm-hmm.
just want to get better at answering the phone,
Mm-hmm.
because it feels so intimidating. So
Yeah.
that's kind of there's like my favorite people to work with, but I also love working with people who just want to get in touch with who they are vocally, because
Mm.
so many people hate the sound of their voice, and I think I used to be one of them. So I'm kind of on a mission to change the world one voice at a time.
So here we are again. You come back again to, um, I used to hate my voice and now
Yeah.
I'm a voice instructor. So the dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
The that you've used the things that scared you or the things that you didn't like about yourself, you've
Mm.
transformed them, and now you would call your fears and your doubts and
My
all
strengths.
of
Yeah.
that your
Yeah.
superpowers, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think when I started coaching voice, I felt very insecure about it because people kept coming to me. Like I wasn't like going like, "Hey, I know what I'm talking about." It's just that as an actor and an acting teacher, when you're working with friends, you're reading lines, you're like, "Oh, you're hurting yourself. Do this," and it just kind of comes
Mm.
naturally. And then I was feeling like, well, who am I? I've struggled with my voice my whole life. I hated my voice for a long time. And then a friend of mine was like, yeah, but that's what makes you such a good coach, because you've
Right.
had those teachers who they're
Hmm.
like, well, just do it. And you're like, but how? I don't get it. You've had every struggle I've experienced, every time of stage fright. I have ruined my voice in every way I can possibly think of. And
Hmm.
so I have a much deeper understanding of the tools necessary. And I think that gives me a much deeper empathy with my clients. Whereas I have been that student who just doesn't get it. And the teacher is naturally talented. And they're like, well, I don't know,
Hmm.
just do it, because it just comes easily to them. And you're like, well, I'm stuck now.
Right.
you know? So I think that resourcefulness that I had to put myself through. And also because I know how important it is, because I've been through the whole thing.
Hmm.
I think that helps too, because I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it's hard, and it's like facing yourself.
Hmm.
There's a lot of I deserve to be seen, I deserve to be heard, and just connecting with yourself and being exposed, and it can be very scary. But on the other side of that fear is freedom,
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So you're also doing a little bit of life coaching in the middle of your
I
you're
mean,
changing lives.
I'm working with the voice body instrument. You can't work with the instrument without working with the person.
Right.
It's everything that you're feeling physically comes out in your voice. Everything that you're thinking and feeling emotionally comes out in your voice. So
Right.
in order to work on your voice, we're working on the whole human, which is why I loved voice so much as an actor, because it was a way of kind of getting very specific, but
Hmm.
also addressing the entire system at the same time, which is
Hmm.
it's another dichotomy. I'm full of juxtapositions. It's like my whole life is just all these paradoxes.
I have a feeling that you also teach in a playful way.
Yes. Fun is mandatory. Fun is not optional, but it is. And a lot of the work that I do is based on the works of a lady named Kristen Linklater. And if you have a chance to look up her book, Freeing the Natural Voice, it's fantastic. And the book is a workbook, so it's lots of exercises. But at the beginning, she has this beautiful preface. And she talks about how, the exercises that we do, they're designed to be playful,
Mhm.
because the things that we're doing that are getting in our way are the things we're comfortable with. They're the doing, the get done, the forcing, the brute force, the tension. And we have to somehow kind of trick the body out of that and into a new way of being, into a more relaxed, free way of being, in order to be more expressive. And so play is a fantastic way of doing that, because it's not necessary. Some people it is, but it's not necessarily something you're used to bringing into your adult life. And so there's a lot of behavioral conditioning that you haven't necessarily brought into your play that can help with freeing your voice. But also, I find if you're not having fun, it's really difficult to do the scary thing. If you're trying to
Mm.
force yourself into it, it's like, ugh. Whereas if you're
Yeah.
having fun, it opens up that emotional bandwidth somehow, and the scary things aren't as scary because you get to laugh about them and you get to, not we're not distracting. We're not using humor as a way of deflecting. We're using it as a way of going deeper.
Mhm.
And that's a subtle difference, but I think it's very important.
I love it. I think you and I teach so much of the same things. I take people to be scared on a surfboard or go play on a surfboard, and you play with voice. And it's the same thing, right? Fear is there to help you. It's not something to battle against. And
Mhm.
bringing in more play and more lightheartedness and more curiosity really can get you through the fear to the place where you can actually see some growth and start to get to do and be all of the things that you want to do and be.
Yes. Yes. And I love that, it's all about surfing the edge and being in water because I use so many water metaphors. And I think one of the keys, I think the process is very similar, like what we do. And I think one of the keys to that is surrender. You
Mm,
know, if we try and control our environment, we're kind of lost. We're never going to be in control of our environment. So you're always going to be frustrated and you're always going to be upset. But when we learn to surrender and accept and work with the world around us as opposed to against the world around us, and I'm including our bodies and kind of the world around
yeah,
us,
yeah, yeah.
then everything becomes easier.
Mhm.
And so when we get into the state of flow, so I think surrendering to, like, the ocean is a powerful thing. I've just spent 2 years living right next to the ocean, and it's a powerful thing.
Yeah,
And if we work with it, we're much more likely to survive any dangerous situations than if we try and work against it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just staying in the moment and, like you said, staying in your body
Hmm.
are both, key, and letting go of all of the judgment and just being curious and being here now.
Yeah. Yeah. True presence kind of pushes out insecurity and anxiety because you don't have space for both,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like when you're
You
really
also
present, there's no space for those intrusive thoughts. It's just you're full.